And welcome back to Sports the NEMO Way, the Portland Trailblazers episode. So, again, we have no guests this week, and all five of us are here. Yay for us.
Woo.
And I don't think I have any more housekeeping. So, let's get started. Drew, who is your Portland Trailblazers all-time starting point guard?
Damian Lillard.
He's also mine.
Mine too. He is mine.
I have Damian Lillard at shooting guard.
Okay, well, Damian Lillard's on the team.
And Damian Lillard is unanimous, just not in position-wise. So, Drew, what do you got to say about old Dame time?
Well, 7-time All-Star, 7-time All-NBA. He's Rookie of the Year. He's on the 75th anniversary team. For his career, he's averaging 25, 4 rebounds, and 6 assists. 1 year, he carried Portland to Western Conference Finals. Dame, he's been good basically his whole career in Portland. At the beginning, he had LaMarcus Aldridge, and they had a couple decent runs. But then after that, it was like C.J. McCollum. Nurkic now, I guess.
After his rookie season, he's never played with an All-Star.
Yeah. I would say
Crazy.
Portland's kind of wasted, really the prime of his career. I don't think he gets as much publicity up in Portland as I would say, since they're not as good. People aren't just going to go up there for no reason.
They're not a huge destination for free agents.
No. Same with him just being by himself. They need more than just.
Yeah, you had 11 years to put a team around this guy, and they just never got it done.
No.
Yep.
So, but I think he's definitely one of the, like I said, he's gotten to a Western Conference Finals even through all that. I think he's definitely one of the clear picks for the Trailblazers team. He'd be, he's had really good playoff moments. He's got a bunch of buzzer beaters and stuff in the playoffs. He shows up in the playoffs for teams.
Well, he's got two huge moments. The game winner against the Thunder that everyone remembers against Paul George, and he has one against Houston.
Yep.
Yeah.
Early in his career when they had Harden and Dwight Howard.
He's a shooter. He can pass.
He's got multiple seasons of over 30 points a game.
Yeah.
This last year, his 11th year in the league, at 32 years old, he averaged 32 points a game.
Yeah. Then he played almost 60 games. I think it was 58 or something. So, it's not like he only played 30 or something.
He played 58 games, but he also set out the last 10 games of the season because their season was essentially over.
There was no point.
Yeah.
They were doing it for draft purposes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He's. I think there's 3 players when you talk about the greatest Trailblazer of all time. He's one of the 3 players that get brought up in the conversation.
Indeed.
He's going to make the team.
Yes.
I would agree.
Yeah.
Ray, I'm super intrigued who your point guard is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, who is your point guard, Ray?
Okay, so the reason I put this person at point guard is because I was having problems finding a small forward. But without further ado, I put Brandon Roy at point guard.
He's my shooting guard.
He's my shooting guard.
my shooting guard.
Oh, no shit.
I don't have Brandon Roy.
Oh.
Well, why did you flip-flop them positions? Brandon Roy is a point guard, or Brandon Roy is a shooting guard, and Damian Lillard is a point guard.
I thought Brandon Roy was a point guard.
Mm-mm.
Okay, well, fuck it.
He would have come.
Well, whatever.
Don't really matter, I guess.
Yeah, it don't matter.
They're both kind of smaller scoring guards. It's cool.
Yeah,
Brandon Roy was a beast for a short period of
Oh,
time.
he
Yeah.
was.
Yeah.
He was amazing.
What was he there? 5 years, I guess. And
let me
2
look.
seasons were pretty bad.
Yeah,
Something like that.
5 seasons in Portland, but five seasons in Portland essentially. Yeah, but the last season he didn't play that much.
Yeah. Sucks he had such a short stint because he was so good.
Didn't he come in with really bad knee problems?
He came in with a degenerative knee.
Right. And
Yeah.
it degenerated.
Yeah.
Quickly.
Playing in the NBA, what do you expect your knees? It's not going to get.
Yeah. Not going to get better.
It's not going to get any better.
But yeah, he's at 19, 4, 4, and 1 steal. So pretty solid for hanging out in Portland for 4 years.
He's also a 3-time All-Star, 2-time All-NBA, and a Rookie of the Year. So we have a backcourt full of Rookie of the Years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and like I say, all NBA, and only played 5 years, and 2 of them he's all NBA, and the 1 year
3
he
of them
didn't
he's
play
all
that much.
NBA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, he was dominant when he played.
I mean, the the Trailblazers wanted to go into the future with Lillard, Roy, and Greg Oden. That was
Right.
supposed to be their future in this dominant team. And two of the players,
2 of the 3 didn't make it.
yeah, two of
Physically
the three
broke
just
down.
And
physically
then
had.
it just left Dame a decade by himself.
It did.
Yeah.
I mean, look at this. This is the year before he gets hurt. Okay, he's. Sorry, I lost my spot there. He's 22 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, and a steal on 48%, 37%, 82%.
Yeah.
Pretty nice.
That's probably the last year. Like that probably was the Trailblazers' last best team because you had him, young Damian Lillard, and then last years of LaMarcus Aldridge before he left.
Mhm.
So I mean, those 3 were probably
Yeah, LaMarcus Aldridge averaged 18 that year, 18 and 7, on 48%. Greg Oden averaged 9 points and 7 rebounds.
His career really never got kicked off, to be honest.
No, I mean, he got hurt right away and was never the same.
I can't remember. There was was there one year where he played a decent chunk of games? That
He
was
played
kinda
61 this
over? Might have been
season.
that one then.
Nicholas Batum was on this team. Didn't do anything though.
Was Wesley Matthews there yet?
No.
Hmm.
It's Brandon Roy, LaMarcus Aldridge, Steve Blake, Travis Outlaw, Rudy Fernandez, Joel Pillsbury, Greg Oden, Nicholas Batum, Sergio Rodriguez, Jared Bayless, Channing Frye, Martell Webster, Ike Diago, Shavlik Randolph, and Michael Ruffin.
It gave me a lot of flashbacks of weird NBA players. Rudy Fernandez and Steve Blake and shit like that. Oh. Well, should I go ahead and throw my shooting guard out there? Since I'm the only one with that one.
yeah.
I have Clyde Drexler at the shooting guard position.
He's my small forward.
He's
He's
my
my
small forward.
Small forward.
I figured.
Yeah, that's where
Drexler's one of the other 3 guys I said should be guaranteed on this team.
Yeah.
He's one of the 3 guys I mentioned earlier about being the
He's on
Yeah.
there.
greatest in
Yeah.
franchise
Yeah.
history.
I mean, he took him to the finals. I mean,
More
he's
than
what-
once.
Yeah.
Took him to the finals like 2 or 3 times.
He's what kind of kept the Trailblazers like relevant there during the 80s and early 90s.
He's one of the 900 first ballot Hall of Famers that just got blocked by the GOAT.
And that was like, I hate to break the sports part, but I mean, that was like the main Super Nintendo game back in the day was Bulls vs. Blazers, NBA playoffs.
The late 80s, early 90s Trailblazers were dominant.
Oh, yeah, they were good.
They were, I mean, they made multiple finals appearances. I mean, they were the shit. They just never quite got over the hump.
No.
They always something.
And they lose to the Pistons in their other one.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Because, yeah.
They just beat the shit out of Drexler in that series.
I mean, he's.
Shocker.
I mean, what they did to everybody else.
It's his 12 seasons in Portland, he averaged 20 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, and 2 steals on 47% shooting, 30% from 3, and 79% from the free throw line. I really think that again, this is a huge if, but I mean, if Jordan played at a different time or wasn't there, Drexler would be viewed so completely differently.
Oh, yeah.
Because he was the second best wing in the league at that time.
Right.
And if he would have been viewed as the best wing in the league, and that would have completely changed how people view him today if that was the case.
And if he gets over the hump and gets that first title without Olajuwon, that's a whole another difference maker to your legacy.
Yeah.
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 I mean,
Look at this. This is one of his seasons in Portland. 27 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals on 49% shooting.
it's pretty amazing.
It's pretty nice. Pretty nice.
He's really an underrated all-around player. He rebounded well. He passed well. He forced a lot of turnovers. Like, he did a lot of stuff on the basketball floor that people don't really talk about.
He was just a good player to have. He did it.
Yeah, I mean, he did a lot. He was extremely athletic. I mean,
Yeah, he's freaky athletic.
he was. I mean,
You're looking at a guy that was a big-time scorer, so he had the ball a lot, but he averages almost as many steals as turnovers.
well, I mean, Bill Simmons, during the whole Damian Lillard crap that was going on a month or 2 ago, when people didn't know if he was going to get traded, if he wasn't going to get traded, all that blah blah blah. Everyone kept referencing Damian Lillard as the greatest trailblazer of all time, as the greatest trailblazer of all time. Everyone was saying it on all the sports stuff, and Bill Simmons like went off about it on one of his things. I can't remember what it was on at the time. And he pretty much spent like 20 minutes saying that Damian Lillard is a great player, but he's not in Clyde Drexler's level, and he can make a very good argument in Bill Walton's limited time. He accomplished more than Damian Lillard. And it was
he has a championship and an MVP,
the
but it's
only
a
ones
year
in
and a
franchise
half.
history.
Like,
I mean, that's the thing, though. There's one championship, and it's from Bill Walton. There's one MVP. It's from Bill Walton.
yeah. I mean, it was probably the dumbest I've ever heard Bill Simmons sound on a podcast. That same one, because he tried to make the case that Walton's dominant run was 5 years long. And I can't remember who was on the podcast with him, but he's
I don't
like,
remember who it was
no,
either.
it was a year and a half. And Simmons is like, no, it wasn't. And he's like, yes,
wasn't it?
yes, it was. It was a year and a half long.
I mean, he wasn't even in Portland for 5 years. Only there.
Yeah. And so they looked it up. And then Bill Simmons is like, I guess I was wrong. I don't know what I was talking about.
But his argument was built around the championship and the
Yeah,
MVP.
it was.
Right, yeah.
But
Yeah.
then he spent a long time on Drexler, and I kind of understood his point.
I think there's a case to be made for either way. I mean, I think there's an
Yeah.
easy case to be made that Dame's better than Drexler as well. And I think the only thing that muddies the Walton argument, because he has a championship and he has an MVP,
Right.
is the fact that it's a year and a half.
Right,
I mean,
Yeah.
like
His career there was so short.
if he was there 5 years, there's probably no argument to be made. It's clearly Walton.
Well, the reason it's an argument is because it's the Trailblazers. They
Yeah.
don't have any other
Yeah.
championships or MVPs.
No.
Right.
So the person that got them both is
Mm-hmm.
going to be up there. I don't know. It's a weird debate to have.
Indeed, it is. All right, well, we're short a small forward. Who are we missing?
Oh, mine. 'Cause I have Drexler at shooting guard. I have Kiki Vanderway at small forward.
Oh, Kiki Vanderway. I don't have Kiki anywhere.
No, I don't.
He was a
I forgot he even played for Portland. I always think about him in Denver.
Me too.
well,
I
he
think
starts
of
his
Denver.
dominant run in Denver and he ends it in Portland.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, they trade him right there in the middle of that. I think.
Kind of splits his prime in between the two of them.
Yeah, 4 seasons in Denver, 5 in Portland.
Oh, I didn't
And-
realize that.
I mean, and
He also plays 4 seasons in New York.
um,
Not
the-
good
the
seasons,
end,
but he plays there.
Vanderway, pretty much you're just getting a plethora of scoring. Watching him score, it had been a while since I'd seen like YouTube stuff of him, and I went back and watched some today after I was thinking about my roster. He has it's kind of mesmerizing to watch. He just had this smooth, intelligent, unstoppable offensive repertoire. He was getting to the basket whenever he wanted. He finished. He would bang with people when he drove to the basket. He'd have these smooth finishes. He had a great mid-range jump shot. That was money. Like he was just going to score on you, and that was what's going to happen. I think it was something like, 22, 23 points a game there?
23 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists on 52% from the field and 40% from 3 on 88 from the free throw line. He's a very efficient scorer who does absolutely positively nothing else. And that, I think that is why Denver got rid of him. I have read a little bit about this. But Alex English and Kiki Vanderway scoring together was an insanely efficient scoring duo.
It was.
They scored so much, and like you said, they were so efficient. They weren't.
Yeah, you're looking at like 50 to 55 points a night coming from 2 guys at like over 50%. Like it's nuts that they split that duo up. Just go out and get 3 guys that play really good defense. And for that era, you're talking about the 80s and
Again,
the 80s, a guy that shoots 40% from 3. It's not a lot of guys doing that.
Right.
Yeah.
And wasn't he fairly like kind of tall and long? And he kind of used that around the basket.
6'8".
6'8", yeah. I think
Yeah.
he's about 6'8".
Says 6'8", 220.
All the stuff I was watching, he was nice around the basket. He got a lot of shit. Like obviously his jumper was smooth as hell. He really shocked me with a lot of the stuff I saw him doing around the basket. Really just him getting to the basket and his finishing was pretty nice. Really kind of caught me off guard.
5 years. I did not. Completely forgot that.
And averaged over 23 a game there. So
Yeah.
I was intrigued.
And
I am too now.
in 86, 87 for the Portland Trailblazers, Kiki Vanderway shot 48% from the three.
Yeah. Kiki was a scorer.
Yeah,
I mean, he could
he
put it up.
Well, doesn't Denver still hold the record for points per game in a season? And
man.
most points scored in a game?
I think so.
And that's the English Vanderway Nuggets.
And don't they have Fat Lever and stuff too?
Yeah, and Fat Lever's there at the same time. And I do believe Sigma overlaps with them for a little while. Is it Sigma? It's a big white guy.
Sigma's Seattle.
Yeah, you're right. It's Seattle. There's a big white guy there, though. Blonde hair. I can see him in my head. It's not Sigma.
In what, Denver?
Here, let me click on Denver and see if I can.
Well, Dan Issel, but Issel was older.
It might have been Dan Issel.
He was what, 70s?
Issel came with
Yeah, it's
the
Dan
ABA.
Issel. Here he is, right here. Yeah, Dan Issel was.
That was their big center. Yeah,
Yeah.
he was good.
And the great Danny Shays,
Dolph's
son.
Yep.
Yeah, who was made to be a big deal with Syracuse.
Oh
but
yeah,
he was a total garbage NBA player. But anyway, yeah. So here's a year in Denver for this team. So Alex English averaged 28 points, 7 rebounds, and 4 assists, while Kiki averaged 26 points, 5 rebounds, and 2 assists. And Dan Issel averaged 21 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists.
I mean, right there, you're talking
3 guys over
70,
20.
80 points in 3 guys.
Yeah, and most teams scored 85 points a night.
The fact that they didn't win anything,
Well, they only won 45 games that season.
Oh wow.
Man,
they just play wow, I don't even.
They won their first round series though.
what year was that?
82-83.
Okay, see, that's right in the middle of the
I mean, I knew they were right in the middle of the
Magic,
Lakers. Yeah.
Kareem, all that.
I mean,
They lost to Gervin's Spurs. So really what we're looking at here is Roy versus Vanderway.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, because Drexler and Lillard will sort out the position's not a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess we're at, is it Uncle Doug?
Yep.
Who is your power forward?
My power forward is LaMarcus Aldridge.
He's also mine.
He's mine.
He's my center.
Oh.
Really?
I mean, it really don't matter.
LaMarcus is my power forward, Wade.
Yeah, Wade, you're in the bathroom. Is LaMarcus yours?
Yes, he's mine.
Okay.
So LaMarcus is on the team, but
Yeah.
Ray has him at center, and the rest of us have him at power forward.
Oh, okay.
Ray, you intrigue me, sir.
It's probably one.
Let's talk about.
He probably just put Walton at power forward.
Probably not, since it's only a year and a half. Ray
Well,
won't.
Maybe not.
Ray
Well,
won't
now
count
that
it.
Wade put up the speculation, I'm going to run with it.
Let's talk about LaMarcus, and we can let Ray's.
Well, LaMarcus was 19 plus, almost 20 points a game, a little over 8 rebounds, a couple assists, almost a steal and a block.
48% from the field, 79% from the free throw line. Just an absolute knockdown shooter from the mid-range.
Yeah.
It did extend it to 3 later in his career, but not in Portland. But just almost automatic from the elbow. Mm-hmm. And he was so long, and his release was above his head. Guys has trouble affecting it, and that elbow jumper was just money.
He had one of the most unstoppable fadeaways of that generation of basketball.
I remember
His fadeaway, he did over and over and over.
I remember his
He didn't do anything
fadeaway.
with it.
I kind of, yeah.
I mean, you're looking at a guy that played 19 seasons in the
Back to
NBA
England.
and averaged 19 points a game for his career.
Yeah.
So he's remarkably consistent for almost his whole career. Just shooting almost 50% from mid-range.
He has the same issues that we talked about with Elton Brand. A lot of people don't really give him a ton of credit because he played with Duncan, Dirk, and KG.
Right.
So he just got overshadowed a ton, even though he was a really great power
Yeah.
forward.
And again, he's playing in Portland.
Yeah.
I mean, and again, he didn't really have anyone until he was getting ready to leave. He got young Dame and Roy for a couple of years, but nothing.
Yeah. When he's coming into his own, I mean, all those three guys are in there. They're still doing their thing.
Yeah, it's like Duncan's still winning championships. Dirk's about to get his. Garnett's dominating.
Yeah. So I mean, his young prime is during their primes, and then he's a smidge bit younger than some of those guys. So at the end of his career, they weren't around as much, but throughout a lot of his career, they dominated the power forward headlines.
I guess here's my thing with LaMarcus. I always really liked LaMarcus. LaMarcus, when he was in Portland, and even part of the time while he was in San Antonio, was asked to be the number one guy. And he was never going to be, at least in my opinion, he was never going to be the number one guy on a championship team. But I do feel like he could be a number two guy.
Right.
If Kawhi would have been healthy in San Antonio, and Kawhi could have been the number one, and LaMarcus be his number two, maybe we're talking about a different story. But as soon as LaMarcus got there, Kawhi got hurt, didn't play for 2 years, and then asked out, and then it became LaMarcus's team.
Yeah.
So it was like...
Was Aldridge there the year people thought they were going to beat the Warriors in the playoffs, and then Zaza hurt Kawhi?
Let's look. His first year in
I
San
can't remember if he was on that team or not.
2015, 2016, yeah, because the Warriors.
Because that's the year the Warriors met the Spurs in the second
What
round.
year did you say it was?
I don't know what year it was. It was Kawhi's.
15, 16. It's
Yeah.
his first year,
'Cause-
but they lost to Oklahoma City.
It's the year they lose to the Warriors.
Try the next year because
It's
The
one
next
of
year they lose to the Warriors.
I don't know what
Yep,
round.
there it is in the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah, because they the Spurs before Kawhi gets hurt, before Pachulia sticks his leg underneath Kawhi,
they're winning the game.
they're beating them by
Right.
25 points. They're spanking them, and then Kawhi gets hurt. I think they make a huge comeback. And at the end of that game, and then they end up sweeping them because Kawhi obviously has tore his ACL.
Because
And
it's
stuff.
game one. Yeah.
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 See, it's all Zaza's fault. That's why he misses all these games. Stuck that damn foot underneath.
He was almost an all-star, remember? All-star starter.
Which one? Who?
Zaza was.
Oh.
Because everyone voted for him, but then they put in the rule where you have to.
That 1 year Caruso almost made it when he was on the Lakers.
Oh, yeah.
Because he had that when he jumped out in popularity.
AC Fresh.
Yeah. I like Caruso.
I do too.
But yeah.
I hated it when the Lakers let him go.
I mean, like, if Zaza doesn't stick his leg under there, does Aldridge maybe get a chip as a number two? Maybe.
They would have to beat LeBron.
Because that would have been Kawhi's, but that's Kawhi's best year. That's like Kawhi winning Defensive Player of the Year and averaging 25.
Yeah, and Kawhi can guard LeBron.
He can.
Yeah, he was one of the players that messes with him.
Yeah.
And there's no reason Aldridge couldn't match up with Kevin Love.
Oh yeah.
No,
But then you have to deal with Kyrie.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
was that one of the years one of them was hurt? Because I don't remember all.
It's
of
hard to say. I don't remember.
So we're looking at...
It also depends on who the other role players were on the Spurs.
Well, Tristan Thompson. Oh, Spurs.
I don't remember if maybe was
So
Parker
six-
still there or not.
No, I think he went back too.
Parker sticks around longer than Ginobili and Duncan
No.
because he's younger.
All three of those guys played this season.
Oh, they did.
James, Kyrie, and Love all played.
No, who are the others?
You had Aldridge. You said Aldridge was there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Was Aldridge? Do you remember the other players? Was Parker still there, or was it like Patty Mills?
Ginobili
Patty Mills, Ginobili.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember this team now.
But Duncan's gone.
Duncan's gone.
Ginobili's still there though.
Yeah, Ginobili. I think it's old. Yeah, old Ginobili.
Yeah,
still
yeah.
there.
I got you guys. Here's their roster. LaMarcus Aldridge, Jonathan Simmons, Manu Ginobili, Kyle Anderson, Pau Gasol, DeJounte Murray, Patty Mills, Danny Green, Kawhi Leonard, Dwayne Dedman,
This team's better.
Davis Bertans, Bryn Forbes, Joel Anthony, and David Lee.
I'd say that team had some talent.
There's some decent guys in there. I mean, some
Yeah.
guys go on to be really good.
I mean, this is like DeJounte Murray's rookie season.
Yeah.
In a couple years, he turns into a beast.
But he's
And this is
at
when
this point probably a defensive specialist you can put on Kawhi or not Kawhi on Kyrie.
when Danny Green could actually shoot.
Probably.
Yeah.
Danny Green. There's another name that stuck out to me in the role players, and now I forgot it.
Paul Gasol.
Oh yeah, Powell. That's probably it. Powell and Aldridge and I don't know. It's hard to say.
Kyle
what would
Anderson
happen.
was quality at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that slow mo?
Yeah.
Is that the guy they call slow mo? Yeah.
So yeah, they had a nice little
I don't know what would have happened, but it could have been a possibility if, the whole Zaza Kawhi thing never happens.
But, I don't know if we said it, but we're looking at a 7-time All-Star, 5-time All-NBA guy.
Yeah.
He's no slouch.
No.
So
So we still need a power forward.
From
Ray.
Ray.
It's Walton.
It's
Oh, it's Walton.
Yeah.
That's right.
This is my center.
He's my center.
mine too.
Wasn't
Because
he's my center.
Because he is a center.
Isn't he really tall?
He's like
Yeah.
6'11", 7 foot.
Oh, okay. For some reason, I don't think he's taller than
His
that.
Aldridge are what, 6'10", 6'11"?
Probably.
Yeah,
I think he's
probably.
listed at 6'11" on the page. Yeah, Walton is listed at 6'11".
Yeah.
He is a Hall of Famer. He's our lone Hall of Famer here.
Yeah.
The guy with the year and a half.
No, that's not true. Drexler's
Yeah,
the Hall of
Drexler.
Famer.
Yeah,
Drexler's the Hall of Famer.
Drexler.
Lillard will be.
I said
Oh,
Dame
yeah.
will be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's a 2-time All-Star, 2-time All-NBA, 2-time All-Defense. He's an MVP.
Finals MVP.
He's a block champ.
Almost 3 blocks a game.
He accomplished a lot in a short period of time.
Yeah.
He
That's
did,
for damn
Didn't he
sure.
get-
17 points, 13 rebounds, 4 assists, a steal, and 2 blocks on 51% shooting.
Is he 6th man of the year for that Boston,
Boston,
team?
yeah, 86.
Yeah.
Yeah, his body just let him down. I mean, probably Bill
His-
Walton's. I
his
mean,
foot.
he was great when he won the title with Portland. But if you saw him play his last title with UCLA, that championship game was unbelievable. I'd have to look up the stats, but I think he missed like 2 shots. I mean,
Wow.
I think he scored like 28 points, and he was like 12 or 14 or something crazy like that.
I'll look at it.
He had
Had a bunch of I mean, I remember watching it. It was just, I don't even remember who they played that night, but they couldn't stop him.
He had
Ew.
some crazy
Oh, yeah,
stat
here-
lining up.
Here it is. This is a no dunking rule. He was 25 of 26,
Yeah.
52 points. They beat
5 to 26.
Memphis State 87 to 66.
Yeah. How many rebounds do you have?
I'm trying to find it. They're just talking about how he 13 rebounds.
50 points.
And wait, if I'm reading this right, no, I can't be. No, Greg Lee for one. Okay, yeah, never mind. At first, I thought it said Bill Walton had 14 assists. I was like, "There's no way."
Yeah.
He had that triple double.
You know
The
what?
guy had this guy had 14 assists to Bill.
Yeah. Who was
Damn.
the point guard for that team? I wonder.
Greg Lee.
Greg Lee. Okay. But yeah, so I was off. He only missed 1 shot.
There was some big like playoff series, or maybe it was a final series. I don't remember which one it is, but where he put up some insane stat line with the Trailblazers too. It was
Oh yeah.
something like 20 points, 18 rebounds, like 7
Well,
assists, and like
said
5
at-
blocks. Or
It said at
something.
the end of this game he had a tape ankle, and it was already hurt.
Yeah.
Like his foot was already he was already having feet.
Right.
And
Well, think back to that time
It's a
period.
rebounding machine.
Big guys, all that jumping and running, and the shoes weren't like
You're wearing
what they wore later.
flat-footed Converse.
Right.
Yeah.
You know,
That
they didn't
cracks
have the
me
right
up,
arch
that
support, they
Converse
didn't have
used
the
to
right
be-
ankle support always. You know.
I don't know if you did something major, like even like big foot surgery back then was not what it is now.
Right. Yeah. Your orthopedic surgeons back then
Right.
were not the same as they are today.
I mean,
But that's always I remember because I was I remember watching that game and just amazed what Walton did. So.
do you even know who was on that Memphis State team that he played against?
I think they probably had a big center. Oh, I was trying to think what his name.
I'll look it up.
Your Aunt Nay would know because she really liked this guy, and he was good. If it's the same Memphis State. Memphis State was really good at basketball then. That was kind of before Penny and them came along, but Memphis State was a good basketball school.
All right, well, we have our positions filled now, correct?
Yep.
Oh my! I haven't seen
So,
it this messy in a while.
We can just clean up some positions, though.
You're
Like,
pretty much just need to
can we
decide
just take-
between Roy and
Can we just
Van
flip Ray's, Lillard, and Roy,
And Walton and
Yeah.
Aldridge.
and Walton and Aldridge, and then all we have to do is worry about the wings.
Well, Drexler and Lillard are on. It's literally just Roy and Vanderway.
Yeah.
Really the only conversation we had.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
So Roy and Vanderway.
Well, I mean, is anyone even intrigued by Vanderway? Because
I mean, you brought up a good point. I mean,
I'll be perfectly honest. I had forgotten about Kiki Vandeweghe playing for Portland.
I mean, you're getting a pure score, like kind of like I think me and Alex both said it. You're not going to get a whole lot else, but you're going to get a great, efficient scorer that's going to go out there and get you a bunch of points. Roy's obviously can score too, and you're going to get a little bit more in a couple other departments. But
I mean, I guess
I didn't
what do
really
we
think
kind of
there was-
want for Portland? Do we just want to get more of a score and
They-
give them more
They
of a
both
chance?
played 5 years for him.
Yeah. Do we just want to give Portland more of a bit of a score to score with?
I mean, I don't know.
Vanderway.
Vanderway's scoring kind of blew me. I just really enjoyed watching his highlights, and obviously he had big scoring numbers, and his efficiency I really liked. And if Roy was like a dominant defender and averaged like 6-7 assists a game, I would definitely go on Roy, but I don't know. You can go either way. I just didn't think there was Vanderway, I think, is obviously a better scorer. Roy might give you a few more rebounds or assists, but I don't think that the differential was really that big. So I just went with a better score.
and I'll be totally honest. When I picked Roy, I didn't think anybody else was going to have him.
Oh, Brennan Roy.
Yeah.
I mean,
I really liked Brandon Roy.
So, yeah, I like him.
Yeah. He just had a great few years. It was funny when I was looking at the all-time Trailblazer teams. This Jeff Petrie kept coming up
Mm-hmm.
from back in the 70s. He averaged almost 22 points a game, 3 rebounds, and almost 5 assists.
I don't know
And
if I've
again,
heard of him.
And there's another
6-year career, and he was done. He was rookie of the year, played 6 years, and he's done.
Another one I wanted to put on here was Rod Strickland, but he just
Strickland was the boss there for a while. It was
Yeah.
the 90s.
There's another point guard I saw here.
Terry Porter.
Yeah.
Terry
Yeah.
Porter.
Let's say Terry Porter.
but he was only
who am I
like
missing?
14
Lucas.
points a game.
Well, Lucas is a power forward.
But,
Well,
I'm just saying I
yeah.
saw him on lists.
Oh,
but
yeah.
people we
I
didn't
liked
bring
Luke.
up.
Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
Lucas. Cliff Robinson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rashid.
no Cliff.
Yeah,
yeah.
So some lists actually had Scotty at small forward.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, I did see a couple.
It was like a top 25 list. Had Scotty at 18.
Oh. I mean, I still.
Oh no, I saw a starting 5 list. It had
Are you-
Scotty on it.
Oh, well, they need to go to
No, yeah,
rehab.
because they
That's
had
ridiculous.
Dane.
Scotty's numbers in Portland are
Oh, God.
11 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists
Yeah.
on 44% shooting.
I'm not saying I agree with him. I'm just saying I saw.
Right.
They got Scotty with a real bad back, and everything else is aging too.
Yeah, and they paid him. That's the place that paid Scotty.
Yeah.
Them in Houston, yeah.
Paid him at the wrong time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got Aldridge and Walton are in. Dame's in. Clyde's in. We just got to decide where. And then we got to decide between Vandeweghe and Roy.
Well, I feel like if we decide between Roy and Vanderway, the rest will be like that. It'll be quick.
Yeah, if you decide
Yeah.
Vanderway and Roy, it's pretty much just
Flip flopping.
That'll decide where Clyde goes. You pick Vandeweghe,
Yeah.
Clyde goes to shooting guard. If you pick Roy, Clyde goes to small forward.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that's just pretty much
It's
yeah.
just
we can just do it if you want, unless we want to do a passionate conversation. We can just do a quick vote on which one.
Okay.
is that
Good with
okay?
me. I mean,
Yeah.
is anybody very passionate about the Blazers at this moment?
I mean, not terribly,
Brandon
no.
Lloyd.
No, I'd be fine with just a vote.
Yeah, let's
Why
go with the
not?
vote.
Okay.
We can do that.
The board. We haven't done the boards. Have we done the boards in a while?
No, not for
No,
that.
we just did the boards of Philly, didn't we?
We did the boards, or we
There's
just
no
did
trivia.
We got them out for trivia. Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
we did. Yeah, it wasn't for.
We probably haven't done the actual board since
Oh, Kiki.
my marker's gone.
Yeah, I know. I don't even have markers anymore because we never
I'm
use
gonna
them.
play that song by Drake where he talks about Kiki.
Oh, Kiki.
Then I'll just add in Vanderway.
D-Love.
That was
See?
that was a Pacers type throw.
Okay. Calm down back there.
It's probably gonna look like Anthony Richardson this year.
Yeah.
Hey, all I keep seeing in training camp is he has a cannon. I'm like, I don't care if the dude has a cannon.
Yeah,
If they can't block for him.
Jamarcus Russell had a cannon.
There's a
Yeah,
lot
I
of
know.
problems.
But I keep seeing he's got a cannon. He's like running out, but then like 2 or 3 guys run by and that would have sacked him already. He just launches this.
In all honesty, he's gonna have to develop. He's not gonna probably go out there and tear it up.
I'm more interested in Jonathan Taylor at this point.
I'm sad on
John.
All right, so we just writing down who we want.
Yeah.
Kiki.
All right, I got mine.
All right, let's get this over with.
All right.
Ray, you ready?
Not yet.
Debating, are we?
Big debate here.
I
Big.
don't know why we didn't just say who we're voting for and get this over with.
All right, I'm good.
This is better.
All
Smart
right, I
climate.
said Roy.
Vanderway.
Kiki.
I stuck with Roy.
I also stick with
I thought you were switching, and when you switched, I was like, oh, I'm in trouble.
I thought about it.
It's a really good point.
Either
Wade.
way, I don't.
I really like Kiki, but
It's not a big deal.
I don't know. Roy had.
They were both really good.
They were.
I think Roy's just better defensively and gives you a little bit more of the side stats, and then Kiki's a little bit better scorer. All right, well that makes our starting 5 for the all-time Portland Trailblazers team: Damian Lillard, Brandon Roy, Clyde Drexler, LaMarcus Aldridge, and Bill Walton. So guys, what do we think of this team and how they stack up?
Pretty solid.
Yeah.
I
Solid.
Solid.
I
Again,
think that's probably a second round exit.
I think it's another middle of the pack team. I think this is a team you could see like Phoenix and them playing each other.
Yeah.
I don't know if I said that. No, I think I said that off air. I think I could see
Depend. Yeah.
playing each other, matching up against each other.
There's a lot of nasty teams in the West, though, that if they fall into like just a little bit of the lower end of the middle, they could be a first round exit. But I could see them going to the second round.
I mean, I can see him smoking through Grizzlies, smoking through.
Well, they beat the Grizzlies in Minnesota and
Yeah.
New Orleans. Those teams at the
But
bottom.
they won't get to play them.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're gonna probably play another middle of the road team.
So who wins, this team or Phoenix? Don't everybody jump on that answer at once. There,
I think you're
I'm
going
gonna
to
go Phoenix. I'm gonna go Phoenix personally.
give me Portland.
I was gonna lean Portland as well.
I don't know. I think it'll go 7. Give me Dame making a shot.
Well, you break it down. You figure Damian and Kevin Johnson. I think you got to give Damian a little bit of an edge. Roy and Devin Booker,
Probably Devin Booker.
probably. I mean, Roy was pretty good for a short period there, but Sean Marion and Clyde Drexler.
As much as I like Marion, Clyde's the better player.
Right.
Yeah.
Barkley's going to take Aldridge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it comes down to Walton and Stoudemire. Ooh.
I don't know. I kind of like Kevin Johnson more than Lillard as an all-around player, to be honest. That was kind of my tipping point.
Yeah, he is more of an all.
That like the 22 and 10 stuff. That's pretty damn hard. Whatever it was.
Man, that's tough.
Yeah, I'll have to go with Phoenix, I think.
Yeah,
I think Barkley and Booker, both, like,
yeah. With Kevin Johnson.
2 minute left type of guy, just bring it in.
I just like their offensive potential and talent. It just kind of draws me in.
I'd like to see it.
Oh, it would be
Yeah.
a close game for sure.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying it would go 7.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it's definitely the Suns.
Right.
That's just who I'm leaning
Well, it's-
towards.
I mean, they've each got a couple players that are going to win their position, and then it's kind of like,
Yeah,
okay, how much are they going to win their position? And yeah, that'd be a good.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good series.
who's the best player on the court though? Is it Drexler or is it Barkley?
I'll
Or
say
is it
Well, it's
Walton?
Barkley.
Barkley.
Yeah.
Think so?
Barkley's
Yeah.
the best player, yeah.
Or is it Walton?
No, definitely Barkley.
Well, Walton's the best defender of the three, and he's the best rebounder of the three.
I mean, if we're just talking about that year and a half of
Right.
Walton's probably the best player on the floor.
Yeah, for that championship season, that championship series, he was pretty much unstoppable.
I don't know. It's kind of crazy. But I mean, if we're talking about best Amari Stoudemire, like Alex said earlier or the other day, it's 26, 27 points a game with 8 or 9 rebounds. So I mean, he's gonna outscore Walton.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. It's
It'd be
crazy.
tough.
Will he outscore Walton though? I mean, that's the thing is how much does Walton's defense play into this?
Is it gonna knock it down by 10, 11 points? Because that's what he'd have to do for him to lose to Walton.
I mean, it was like 22 and 18, so I mean, you don't have to knock it down 4 points.
I thought his numbers were like 17 and 13. Walton's career.
I mean, even though
numbers.
17 is only 5, not 10.
17, I said 26 and 27 was peak Amari. 17 to 26, 27 is 19
I was
points.
just looking at his
Yeah. So what was
His-
peak Walton? I mean, we were the 17 and 13.
19 was his top scoring season.
Okay.
So it's 7-8 point difference.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It would be good to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would enjoy it.
Yeah, that's a rough one.
I think
Yeah.
I'd be rooting for the Trailblazers. That's what I think.
It'd be a good matchup.
It would. That'd be a very good matchup.
I'm trying to think about the matchups. It's kind of. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean this team doesn't really, I'm talking about Portland. Sorry, doesn't really come at Phoenix and their weaknesses, like the weaknesses we pointed out last week that they
No.
would struggle with. This team isn't the team to take advantage of them. I think whoever Booker guards, whether that's Roy or Drexler, the other one's going to have a good scoring night.
Mm-hmm.
Or I mean, the one that he guards is going to have a good scoring night. But Booker is also going. Neither one of them are. Or Roy's not a shutdown defender either. So it's not like Booker's not going to get his on the other end of the floor as well. So and like we talked about post defense being the weakness of that other team, and I do think Walton and Aldridge would score a little bit, but neither. I don't know. I don't see.
I think Aldridge will still score his points over Barkley.
Yeah, because
Tall enough
his
to
game's the
shoot over.
turnaround jumper. Him 6'6" and 6'11".
Yeah.
He's going to get
yeah.
that jumper off.
Barkley's going to get his points too.
Yeah, Barkley's going to go through Aldridge's chest.
Yeah.
And he's gonna let him know about it.
Yeah.
I think it might come down to whoever's post players got the most energy at the end of the game. So it's going to be a knockout fight down there. You got Walton banging down there. You got Barkley coming back. Might just have to wear Aldridge out and just run through him.
Well, and it may come down to who wins the battle between Lillard and Johnson.
Yeah, or at the end of games, you're gonna have Lillard's gonna have the ball in his hands, and there's probably gonna be a lot of Devin Booker in there too. So those two are gonna do a lot of the outside scoring. Lillard and Devin Booker, who both have very similar production. So it's also very. I don't know.
I don't know. It's
It's
a
crazy.
good
It's gonna be,
matchup.
it'll be a good
It is.
series.
So what other Western Conference teams can we compare him to that we've done so far? I mean,
Golden State.
Golden State would smoke this team.
What about
Golden State, Houston, the Lakers would smoke this team.
what about the Supersonics, Thunder?
Oh
That
yeah.
would be a good one. I think that would
That'd be
So
interesting.
that team. Let's see if we get this straight. That team was Peyton,
Allen,
Allen, KD,
someone in Sigma.
Haywood, Spencer
Yeah,
Haywood.
Spencer Haywood, and Sigma.
So
Okay.
Ooh,
The Lillard
that is a good.
The
comparison.
Lillard glove matchup would be really interesting.
Well, I think it would
how much
depend on-
trash talk between the two of them?
I think it would depend on the era, what rule set we were going by. Because by a certain rule set, the glove after a while is going to say "fuck this" and manhandle the shit out of him for 90 feet up and down the floor. And Damian Lillard's never had that before in his life.
That's true.
Yeah.
In today's NBA, you can't touch him. You can't make physical contact with him. But the glove was gonna. He's called the glove. He's going to wrap himself around you and squeeze. That's what he did. He would literally, when he played defense, would get all up on you and do this. That's what he did. And then he'd just talk shit in your ear and manhandled you up and down 90 feet over and over and over and over. You can't do anything about it.
I think Ray Allen gets a slight nod over Brandon Roy.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah, I'm saying
Um,
that's athletic. Ray Allen.
KD and Drexler.
That's interesting.
That'd
That's a
be
good
fun.
one.
That's yeah.
Haywood and Aldridge.
I think Haywood takes Aldridge.
Haywood did have some nasty numbers back then.
Yeah. But I think Walton takes Sigma.
Yeah.
Yeah, Walton.
Walton, I think Walton tears Sigma a new one.
You know.
Did,
So I
did
think
they
there's-
actually? No. When did Sigma play?
It's a little late.
I would say probably
Walton
a
was
little.
probably already hurt.
Yeah.
Sigma was
They
pretty.
might have played about.
That's what I'm saying. They might have played.
each other. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. We might be able to actually
Sigma's
compare.
older than I think, but yeah, Walton's going to take Sigma.
Oh yeah.
I mean, Walton's definitely better than Sigma, but
It's gonna see if.
But
Is
I
the
think
difference
Haywood
really that
takes
huge between the two?
Aldridge.
I guess here's my. You're talking about the Aldridge thing. Aldridge is way bigger than Haywood. He's way taller. He's way heavier. I don't. It might be a mismatch on the other end of the floor. What's Hayward gonna do to Aldridge?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like Aldridge is gonna be able to get where he wants on the floor and shoot over top of him anytime he wants.
How tall was he?
6'8".
Hayward.
6'8", and
220.
Aldridge is only 6'10", isn't he?
So he's
6'11".
listed
A couple
6'11".
He's
10.
like 250 though.
Yeah, he's like
Well,
yeah,
yeah,
he's
but
like
he
he's like
wasn't
25.
that
He's like
physical.
25 pounds heavier.
Aldridge is also not very athletic and has very slow feet.
Right. I still think Haywood takes him. I mean, Haywood was an MVP for a reason.
Well, didn't he have some like 30 and 12 numbers or
Yes.
some crazy shit like that?
He averaged 25 and 12 when he played for
Yeah.
Seattle.
I mean,
But he was even better in the ABA. He came in as a rookie and it's like crazy good.
I don't know. There's so many variables, guys. There's so many.
Yeah, we could.
This tournament might bite us in the ass.
It could be fun. I mean, there's gonna be
There's gonna be a good debate.
I don't know,
on
I
this
think-
team.
Yeah.
We're gonna get some intense battles. in
I'm
front of
Yeah.
the
I'm
stage.
still interested in the Drexler Kevin Durant thing
There would be a lot of back and forth with that one.
because like I know Katie's so much like he's taller than him. At the same time, Drexler's just so athletic.
That would probably
he
be the
would-
premier
Drexler
matchup
is
Mm.
of the
definitely
game.
more athletic, but Durant's a much better shooter.
And he's gonna shoot right over the top of it.
Yeah,
But I feel like
they
But
both
Clyde's
did
gonna
things
take
the other
you
one
to the
did.
rim.
Drexler's gonna go take him to the basket.
Drexler seemed to be a more consistent facilitator throughout his career than KD.
Yeah.
They both have good rebounding numbers for their position. I don't know. And again, they're both good quality defenders, but not all-time great defenders.
Yeah, that one just interests me. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause I think Ray Allen will beat Roy Hill.
Well, it'll depend on the rules we set up for this tournament too.
Yeah, we're gonna have to establish that at some point.
Because that will depend whether Gary Payton, like Wade said, can.
Manhandle Damian Lillard.
Right. How
Well,
much?
I mean, in all reality, let's be honest about this.
A lot to
A
still
lot
judge.
of current today NBA players, if we bring that up, are going to struggle because if you let them play physical defense, Steph Curry's not Steph Curry anymore. Damian Lillard's not Damian Lillard
No.
anymore. Kevin Durant's not Kevin Durant anymore.
Right.
Like all these really skinny, really
Well-
small guys are not going to be the same players anymore.
Well, there's a reason why they didn't shoot all these crazy threes because the guys were up on them. Like
guys are up in your shorts.
They
Guys
weren't
are
going to
pushing
call.
you and
People had a
and
hold
hand
of you.
checking
That's
you.
why you
Yeah.
couldn't shoot a three. People were grabbing you the entire time.
Right.
Hand checking.
That's why we've never seen any of
Physical
this stuff
contact
before
at
because
all
they were like
points.
holding on to you, like, and
Well,
the
I-
refs weren't going to call fouls if you
here's-
shot
here's
it.
Here's the thing, like, you go back and watch like all the like '80s like finals. No matter who's playing, no matter East, West, Celtics, Lakers, 76ers, Rockets, doesn't matter. It comes down to a final play in a game. They all go out on the floor, 10 guys out on the floor. They all, walk to their spots. And when the whistle blows for the ball to go, every guy on the floor hammers down with their arm because they have to get the guy off their jersey before they can run somewhere.
That's the first thing they did was
yeah.
grab a hold of that jersey.
Yeah, every guy on the floor hammer fists the other guy's forearm and then tries to run away. And you
Right.
still see jerseys stretched way out as they're trying to
yeah.
run away.
Yeah.
Like
Happened all
that's
the
what.
time.
And you know how easy it is to throw off somebody's jump shot by moving them.
But
Like so if I already have my hand on your hip, just a little bit of pressure while you're in the air completely moves you.
Yep.
Watch. If you ever watch highlights of Jordan and Pippen's first championship, they always highlight the job that Pippen did on Magic Johnson, which is just still kind of funny. But anyway, if you watch the parts that they highlight, Pippen is just all up in Magic's shit just for 90 feet. Like, that's all he's doing. He doesn't leave Magic's hip the entire time. He just rotates from hip to hip for 90 feet with an arm on Magic at the whole time. So Magic had a 6'8" athletic freak groping him for 90 feet for 7 games in a row. It's pretty much what happened. I mean, things were done a little different.
Yeah, that point Magic's 10 years probably older.
I'm pretty sure I looked once and Magic still averaged like 23 and 12. So.
What year are we talking about?
The 91.
Their first finals, yeah.
Whatever it was. I think he still had a good stat line.
But again, that was the end of
Yeah.
the Lakers at that point. Magic and them were.
Oh, that era, yeah.
Yeah. And Michael and them were at the beginning of their primes. Well, Michael was already in his.
Did Magic
Yeah, because every argument I look up, or not look up, but like when you see like all-time great arguments, this is a very popular one that gets brought up. Well, Magic and Larry couldn't play against athletes. Look what Pippen did to Magic in the finals. Like, that's a very, very popular argument that you hear from today's fans. And wait, here's the numbers, Wade. Magic averaged 18 points, 8 rebounds, 12 assists, and a steal. Now, he did shoot 43%, which is down from his regular, so he shot a little less. But it's not like he shot... Like, we have a finals with LeBron shot 38%.
Right.
Well, you're not really disrupting Magic Johnson if he's getting 12 assists a game. That is the outline number.
Right.
Magic Johnson runs the offense. He's not out there scoring 35 a game. If you to disrupt Magic, you have to disrupt the way he involves his teammates. Pippen did a good job as anyone was ever going to do on an all-time great player. He did play great defense, and he probably did disrupt a bunch of plays. But there's this narrative that he shut down Magic. Like there's a narrative that Olajuwon shut down Shaq in that finals. The team results and the individual player results are different things. Mm-hmm. A team can play badly while a player still does great.
Well, I think in all reality, that Lakers team really was taking advantage of a weak West. Magic didn't really have the supporting cast of a championship team.
Probably not, no.
And some of those guys put up decent numbers over the course of the year, but how much of that is, like we were talking about with Jason Kidd earlier on those Nets teams, how much of it was he just got them the ball in great spots and they were able to score? Because do we really think Vlade Divac is the second best player on a championship team?
Oh, that's what I was going to say. He was missing a number 2. They had the number 1 and they had a bunch of nice role players. They didn't have a complete dominant number 2 like Scottie Pippen.
Yeah. And Magic was getting older.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's 31 there.
How old Scotty?
Scotty is 25.
Yeah. Let's say Michael and Scotty are 25 and 27.
Yeah.
Scotty averaged 20 points, 9 rebounds, and 6 assists in that series. So I would say, Scotty averaged 2 more points than Magic. Magic and 1 more rebound. Why Magic averaged 6 more assists. So I'd say they played each other pretty equally in that series. But the other issue is Michael Jordan played with Scotty.
Yeah. That's what the difference in the series.
Averaged 31 points,
Scotty.
6 rebounds, and 11 assists.
Yeah.
He averaged
And
31
almost 3 steals.
Yeah, almost 3 steals and a block. And shot 55% from the field. That's more of a Byron Scott, James Worthy issue because they couldn't guard him.
Right.
In all reality, not to say that anybody could guard Michael. I'm just saying, it wasn't Magic's job to shut down Mike.
No.
Coop was too old at that point.
Yeah.
It wasn't the young Cooper that could really play defense.
Not 10 years earlier.
Coop's still there?
Cooper's not even on this team.
Is he done by then?
This is Magic, Vlade, Sam Perkins, James Worthy, AC Green. So Vlade, Perkins, AC Green, Elgin Campbell, and Michael Thompson are on the team. That's 5 bigs.
Right, yeah.
Then you have Magic, Terry Teagle, I don't even know who that is.
I remember him.
Byron Scott, Tony Smith, and Larry Drew.
Oh, so they had no Coop.
So
none of them
they have
guarded.
5 centers and then 5 other players.
Is Worthy still Worthy at that point?
No.
I
not
don't
at
think
that
so.
point.
I mean,
I think this is right at the end of Worthy's career. Worthy's career is shorter. Like Worthy comes in after Magic, but I think they're gone around the same time.
Yeah. He might have stuck around a year or so after. He and Byron might have been there another year or so after. But
Well, Byron Scott has a couple years where he averaged like 20 points a game for the Lakers.
right.
Worthy's career is over in 93, 94. So he's around for a couple years after that run.
Yeah. But the defense of the Showtime Lakers is gone.
Yeah. Well, we've gone down a rabbit hole, so we probably need to get to our next segment before we run this to a 2-hour episode. How long have we been on, Ray?
Close to an hour.
Oh, shit. All right. Well, next segment is our what if segment. This is my opportunity to have a what if. I put a lot of thought into this. Maybe it's not as fun as I think it's going to be, but I hope it is. My what if is, what if the Detroit Pistons didn't draft Darko Milicic? And here's why I worded it the way I did. Because I didn't want to say what if they drafted a specific player, because 3 Hall of Famers went drafted the next 3 picks. We're talking about Dwayne Wade, Carmelo Anthony, and Chris Bosh went the next 3 picks. And so I left it open so that we could talk about all 3 of them.
I gotta look up and see where we're.
Just off the top of my head, I think. Let's see. Is their core like 4 or 5 guys all still there?
Billups, because this is
what?
before their championship. This is the summer before their championship.
It's the summer before, really?
So it's
Yeah.
04? Yeah, 04.
This is the 03 draft,
Oh, so they're all
and
still
they win it in
good,
04. So Billups, Hamilton, Tayshaun Prince, and Ben Wallace are already there. And then after the draft, right after the season starts, they trade for Sheed.
good. Okay, I got you. All right, I'm on the timeline now.
Okay?
I think if I had to take a guess on who I think they would have done besides Darko, I think it would be Melo or Bosh, because they needed. That's what
Completely
they needed.
agree.
I'd go with Bosh.
I was gonna lean towards
I
Melo.
Here's my thing. I think Melo is the perfect fit for this team. But if they wanted a big, they drafted Darko. I don't know if that's what the case was. But if they wanted a big, then it would have been Bosh.
But if you get Bosh, then you probably don't get Sheed. And then do they win the title at all? Because Bosh won't be Bosh for.
Well, here's my thing with Sheed, though. They did trade for Sheed after the draft, so technically he's not there yet. But Sheed was damaged goods. They traded Dick for him.
But do you even want him if you have Bosh?
Yeah, if you just.
Yeah,
Well, they kind of wanted him, even though they drafted.
The
Big
worst
guy.
draft pick ever.
Yeah.
Darko.
Yeah.
Him and Kawhi share a cell together in the all-time worst basketball player prison.
Is Oliver Candy there too?
He's like the top security guard. Yeah. Oh, Jesus.
But just let me say a thought before why everybody's still thinking. My thought is, like we talk about this Pistons team quite a few times over the course of this podcast, and we always say that this team had really good players, no great players. They had good scores, not great scores. All these things. If you put Melo on this team, that changes the whole narrative. They have 5 good players and a great player. And Melo is the guy they can give the ball to and get buckets. And they don't have to just win with defense.
And he was really good right away.
Yeah. Yes, he was a 20-point per game scorer the day he walked in the
You
NBA.
didn't have to wait. Yeah.
No.
Unlike, that was my only thing about Bosh was not that it would be bad in the long run by any means if you got Chris Bosh on that team. They probably still might have won one later on. But you would have had to wait a couple years with Bosh because he didn't step on the floor and become an all-star caliber guy.
So are we all in agreement that Dwayne Wade is just not the choice?
I just don't think they would have picked him
I
because it
don't
doesn't fit.
Because you're probably and your 2 best players are Billups and Hamilton.
Yeah, you don't want. Nothing against Dwayne Wade, obviously.
No, Dwayne
but-
Wade's an all-time
but it's
great.
just-
I think we all agree on
If they
that.
pick Dwayne Wade, it definitely helps.
I mean,
it's Dwayne Wade. It's going to help your team, but it just doesn't fit. He's going to sit behind Rip and Chauncey.
Carmelo would be
start that
perfect.
season.
Yeah.
So the funny part about this is last week when Wade did his what if, This all happens the same time as Wade's what if. And we were talking about there's this vacuum created and who's going to fill it. I'm thinking the Detroit Pistons with Carmelo Anthony is going to fill this fucking vacuum.
That could be.
Right.
I mean,
Because they won one without him.
Yeah.
And if he's there, I wouldn't be surprised if they win multiple.
well, if they
It's
draft
really-
Carmelo, I mean, obviously,
The only thing that throws me for a loop is, say they get Melo, and he ends up in the starting lineup is because they need his offense.
Mm-hmm.
Do they still get Sheed? That's the only thing that's holding me back with all this is what would happen with Sheed in all these different situations. Would he still come? Would he not come at all? Would they maybe check on him later if they want a true power forward? I don't know. There's just so many variables there.
I mean, Carmelo's going to shoot as much as they want. They're just going to tell him, you shoot, we'll play defense. And let's go.
Well, I mean, that was the one thing that team was great at. Their defense was insane.
And they can protect Melo that way.
Yeah.
But here's the other thing: the best year of Melo's career is with Chauncey Billups.
Yes.
Oh,
when
yeah.
he
They
when
made
he
the
came
Western
to
Conference
Denver,
Finals.
Yeah.
when he came to Denver, Chauncey took him under his wing and helped him.
Mm-hmm. This is how you win. This is how you play winning basketball. If Melo grows up his NBA career in that system with those guys, winners, defensive players, everything like that, is Melo a different player? We talked about him being selfish, not playing defense, not getting others involved. Is that the case if he grows up in this with this franchise?
Well, 2 or 3 maybe championships, maybe an MVP in Detroit.
Well, if you're winning and you're putting up 30 points a game, there's a chance you get an MVP.
yeah.
Here's another thing, though, to throw in, because Larry Brown was a hard ass and kind of a dick to his,
Yep.
at times. Would he have dealt with Melo not playing defense and being a ball hog at times? Would he want him to play within the system? Would he bench him for not playing
I
defense?
think it would depend.
I think young Melo, yes, he would have.
I agree.
Yeah.
But you're talking about the guy that coached AI, so he would have dealt with something.
Well,
I mean,
he cannot bench AI in that team situation. They would have scored 42 points a game. Aaron
Maybe.
McKee would have been the leading scorer, and they just would have been.
But I mean, also maybe it comes down kind of like what I said earlier. Maybe Chauncey has a talk with him, like, hey, we can. If we let Melo just do his thing on offense, we can back him up on the defense side. And we can work him into it. Do it that way.
Yeah.
Have a talk with Carmelo, nicely. Maybe don't go after him. Keep doing what you do on offense, but over the course of the season, you have to become a better defender. We're not saying you got to be a defense player of the year candidate, but we have great defenders around you. Just be somewhat of a decent defender.
Well, here's my thing with Melo. Melo's not incapable. Melo is a quick, very athletic, strong
Very strong.
NBA player. There's no reason he couldn't play defense. He chose not to play defense.
There were times early on in his career where him and LeBron would butt heads in their matchups.
Yes.
And there were times where him and Kobe butt heads in their matchups, and he D'd the shit out of them for
Yeah.
games. But then you wouldn't see him play defense for 4 more weeks.
Well, it's kind of like
Then
you
he'd
said,
show back
Alex.
up, and he was pumped up.
Maybe if he grew up in the Detroit culture instead of just going out to Denver and doing whatever.
Could be too, actually.
If he grows up in the defensive culture, maybe he does actually decide to play defense.
Right.
So-
And I'm not saying, like you said, I'm not saying defensive player of the year or all defense, but he just plays defense.
Right.
You just can't be a liability.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Don't let your man backdoor you to death all game.
Here's-
You know.
There's another wrinkle in it. I think we all have agreed so far that Melo is by far the best fit in short-term answer. Is Bosch a better long-term answer because of what he turns into in the position he plays, and that he's a better defender and post defender and rebounder, which is the stuff they would have been needing for that power forward position if they don't get Rasheed.
If they don't get Sheed, Bosch probably is the better long term fit.
Yeah.
But if they still trade for Sheed, because here's what I looked it up. All they trade for Sheed is old Lindsey Hunter, old Chucky Atkins, and a later first rounder. That's it.
These early 2000s rosters are killing me right now.
So they gave up nothing. So I'm going to assume that they still do that, because why not do that?
Yeah.
And then if you have the Wallaces and Billups and Hamilton with Melo and Prince in between, the small forward spot there, that team's really, it's the best team in the East for a decade.
And then
I'd
at
say-
the end of their dominant run of Eastern Conference Finals stuff, they get Antonio McDyess, and they had Carlos Williamson for a while too.
Corliss, yeah, he was the sixth man.
Was it Corliss?
Corliss, yeah.
and he was
the
solid.
sixth man on this team.
Yes,
And
Corliss
he-
Williams
He's
was.
also there playing the 3, and McDyess comes later.
And he could
to
play
help.
the 4 a little bit. I mean, he was short, but he was tough.
Yeah.
I mean, I could see them.
So like McDyess came later on, and I think it was well after his knee, but he
Well,
brought good depth.
Chris Webber was there for a couple
Yeah.
seasons too.
Like
I looked up the championship Pistons here. So this is their roster. Okay. Billups, Eldon Campbell, Hubert Davis, Tremaine Folks, Darvin Ham, the Lakers coach, Richard Hamilton, Mike James, Darko, but he wouldn't be there in this case, Mohamed Okur, I forgot he was there,
he was solid.
Tayshaun Prince, Jekko Rebecca, Bob Sura, Ben Wallace, Rasheed Wallace, Corliss Williamson.
I always loved Ben Wallace. He was my favorite Piston.
Just plug
Yeah.
Carmelo in there.
Well, the thing is, too, if you really power forward center was kind of their weakness because, I mean, Tayshaun had just played small forward. Doesn't score like Carmelo, but plays defense way better.
Yeah.
So, like Wade said, Bosch might have been
Well,
long term. You put him at power forward, you move Ben Wallace to center. The other thought is, I mean, going into that draft, Carmelo and LeBron were the consensus. Those are the 2 automatic All-Stars.
Yep.
Okay, if you don't want Carmelo, if you're afraid he's going to disrupt your chemistry, because he has to start, he's not going to come off the bench.
No.
He just won a national title.
And you think that's not going to be a fit for you, you know Denver wants him. Why not swap picks with Denver? Then you could still get Darko if you wanted him, or maybe Bosch, and you get maybe something else out of it.
I read I listened to that. Wade, do you mind listening to this too? This was on the Bill Simmons podcast. He brought on, I can't remember who it is. It wasn't Joe Dumars, because Joe Dumars was the GM of this team, the Pistons team.
Made the choice. Yeah.
He's the one that made the choice. But it was somebody that worked in the Detroit Pistons front office during this. And that guy said that literally 2 nights before the draft, they took the Pistons scouts and stuff, brought the front office to like a YMCA and worked Darko out in front of them, and they went absolutely apeshit. Until that night, so 2 nights before the draft, they were not planning on taking Darko Milicic. But I guess he was like, I don't remember the numbers, but he was like, during their workout, like they brought some of their players from this team to like scrimmage with him, and he was like, like 8 of 10 from 3, and like scoring on guys and shooting jump hooks over guys and rebounding and blocking shots and doing all this crazy stuff in a fucking YMCA in Detroit, and they fell in love with him and took him number 2 overall. It's insanity.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've kind of talked this Detroit thing, and I think maybe I'm wrong. You guys tell me if I'm wrong, but the consensus is that, I mean, obviously Detroit is better if they don't take Darko and they take either Melo or Bosch.
I mean,
But I mean, they called Milicic the human cigar light. So like, whenever he came into a game, it was like Auerbach lighting a cigar. Yeah, but I think we've kind of come to an agreement though that like they probably win multiple championships if they do this.
well, I'd say if they take Carmelo, I'd say they beat the Spurs the next year. I mean, I think Carmelo's enough offensively to counteract Tim Duncan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's 2 in a row. And then who's...
And then, like we said last week, didn't they make like 6 or 8 straight Eastern Conference Finals?
Yeah.
Something like that.
did.
I mean,
Yeah,
and
like-
if Carmelo's playing for the Pistons when they played LeBron in that one year, I mean...
I was getting ready to bring that up. LeBron scores like 25 straight points, and the Pistons just can't stop him, and they can't score on the other end. That doesn't happen if Melo's there. Melo gets buckets.
Right.
Yeah.
That is the one great thing Melo was good at.
Yeah. He'll
Or great at. I mean.
he may not score every time with LeBron, but he's going to score at least once. He's not going to go
Right.
25 in a row.
Yeah, exactly. So
Scoring is the one thing Melo can hang with any other superstar in.
Yes.
Melo is an all-time great scorer. That's why he's gonna be in the Hall of Fame. Like,
yeah, he's what, 8th all time?
yeah,
Yeah.
you're not gonna go outscore Melo consistently ever.
No.
It's just not gonna happen.
So here's here's the other part of this. We've concentrated so much on Detroit, but if Detroit takes Melo at 2, who does Denver take at 3?
Now I gotta think about who's on that roster.
Yeah.
Who's on the
That would have been Marcus Camby, Nene, because they made the playoffs in Melo's rookie season. What in the Sam hell? Did I just click on?
I'm trying to think. Trying to think who was more sought after, like who garnered more attention, D Wade or Chris Bosh coming out of that draft.
Well, with
I can't remember.
Camby and Nene and who else did Denver have?
I'm trying
sorry.
to look.
I would say Denver probably takes D Wade.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
I'm thinking Denver may go D Wade because I don't remember who the guards were.
Yeah, I can't either. I can't.
That messes up a whole lot.
It's okay.
No.
Birdman, John Barry, Ryan Bowen, Earl Boykins, Marcus Camby, Michael Doliak, Francisco Elson, Nene, Vashawn Leonard, Andre Miller was their point guard, Mark Pope, Jeff something, Nichols, Toledosville, and Rodney White. They have a bunch of bigs.
Yeah.
Yeah, D Wade.
I'd say D Wade's
would-
going to Denver.
Yeah.
So an Andre Miller, D Wade backcourt.
He ain't shooting.
No, they ain't shooting a lick, but they can both handle the ball. They're both good defenders.
Both great at facilitate. I mean, Wade
Yeah.
could facilitate
Well,
just along.
here's
with
another question that affects all these rosters at this point. Where does Shaq go now? Because he's leaving L.A.
Because I mean, he went to the Heat because he saw Dwayne Wade because he got a little obsessed with Dwayne Wade during his rookie year. He saw him. He talked about it a couple times.
Yeah.
And so would he?
Where does he go to Denver with him? Do they trade a bunch of those centers to L.A.?
Does just say Birdman, get the fuck out of my way. I'm coming to Denver. Then you have Dwayne Wade and Shaq and Andre Miller and
See, I don't think the Lakers would send him to another team in the West.
that's
That,
a
no.
possibility.
I think he was going east.
I think you're right. I think you're.
You know, in this case, though, the crazy thing is Chris Bosh still ends up in Toronto.
Yeah.
I mean, you never.
I mean,
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just about what fits.
yeah.
But then what ends up? Then what does Miami do? Do they take
Right.
Darko, or do
Oh,
they take
God.
Do they take Chris Kaman
And then
or Kirk Heinrich?
see, this changed everything.
Kirk.
Oh yeah.
Maybe
I mean,
Kirk.
Pat Riley probably doesn't have a job anymore.
yeah.
with Miami Heat.
I think Miami Heat are not getting their championship.
I'm trying to think who else was in the running for Shaq. Besides the
Yeah,
Heat?
I wasn't
Who else
old
was in the
enough.
running back?
I have
then?
no idea.
I don't. It's been so long. I
What
don't
other
remember
team
who
could
else
he
was
have
in
went
it.
to?
I don't know. I was trying.
So
to
it's all
remember.
going to depend on cap space and trade assets and
And just
all that stuff.
did-
I
he's
don't-
not going to want to go somewhere where there's not another great player to play with.
Could
either,
he-
so.
Maybe they ship him back to Orlando.
Yeah.
Who would have been there?
That's what I'm trying to think.
What year are we talking? What year did Shaq leave?
05.
05 because he wins in 06. Could he? This is gonna sound crazy. Maybe I don't know if this could even work. What if he went to Philly with AI? Could you imagine AI and Shaq?
I mean,
Well-
Shaq said in his top 10 all-time players list, he puts AI on it. So
Does
I mean, he likes AI.
Doesn't
Well,
Iverson leave right after that though?
I was trying to remember when he leaves.
Was Iguodala there then? Maybe they
Uh-huh.
ship him to Philly for Iguodala.
And the Lakers get Iguodala back,
So
and
then
it's AI and Shaq, and then Kobe and Iguodala.
that would help Kobe during that spell of 2 or 3 years where the Lakers were
Would.
awful and he had to average 35 a game to win.
Well, see, they got Caron Butler from
the Heat.
The Heat.
You got
right.
Caron Butler and
was
Lamar
pretty good
Odom.
for a while.
Karan
Yeah.
was good.
Lamar Odom came in that deal.
Right. Lamar
Yeah.
Odom was great for a while.
Well, Lamar Odom was a big part of your all's
He
two
helped us
He
championships.
got
too.
Kardashian.
Yeah.
Yes, he
Good
did.
basketball player. He got wrapped up with them. Then it was crap.
Yeah.
Well, he got his 2 championships, and he was with the Kardashians, Dad, and it was done.
Right.
Okay, so we've talked about how this affects the draft. We've talked about how this affects the teams immediately right here, which obviously would shake some things up. But here's the biggest shakeup. What happens with LeBron's big three? D Wade's not in Miami anymore.
Right.
Bosch is still in Toronto, but
Yeah.
D Wade is playing with in Denver.
Probably Denver. Yeah.
And Carmelo's not going to leave to go team up with LeBron if he's winning chips in Detroit,
Yeah, if he's already got
Right.
2 or 3 underneath his belt, why would he leave?
because they wanted Melo was kind of a part of that situation for a long
He
time.
was, yeah.
Like there
Well,
was
they wanted him instead of Bosch, but then Melo said he wouldn't take a pay cut to play with them, so he ended up going to New York to get the full max.
Yeah.
There was also
And-
2 of the 3 Heatles tried to join Derrick Rose at a certain point too, and they ended up, but they couldn't make it work. So then they all went to Miami, and I don't remember which 2 of the Heat. It was LeBron and one of the 2 almost went with Derrick Rose later on. For that, so they were almost Bulls, and then they ended up going to the Heat due to something didn't work in Chicago with one of them or something.
So yeah, maybe LeBron ends up in Chicago, or maybe he ends up in Denver.
I'm gonna say he goes with Derrick
I'm going
Rose
to
in
say he's
Chicago.
going to go to Chicago.
And then Derrick Rose gets hurt, and LeBron's by himself in Chicago.
Yeah.
And then LeBron has zero or
titles.
1 or 2 titles, and this is a whole different story for the NBA
Yeah.
landscape.
I would say
Changes
0.
everything.
LeBron he's known as a little bit better than what Carmelo is now. He's a good scorer. He has a couple MVPs. He has no titles. He's forever known as a guy who doesn't have anything. Because Derrick Rose gets hurt, he's not winning by himself with those
But
Bulls
does
rosters.
he still go back to Cleveland?
Or does he just
Kyrie.
not leave Cleveland?
Right.
Yeah, he
And
just
maybe never
stays there
leave.
the whole time.
I think the intrigue of the Derrick Rose Bulls would get him away initially, but I think he would go back the way he did before and probably get one.
with Kyrie.
Yeah.
Or
Because
Kevin
when
Love.
he leaves, they're still going to get the draft picks and get Kyrie.
Yeah.
Or does he? I'm
He
again.
just screws the Heat.
I'm not.
Yeah,
I-
the Heat are the biggest losers.
And I think he was pretty
Who are the
fed up
other?
with the
Who are the
Cavs
other
after that first
superstars in the league at that time that we think he would consider going to play with? I mean,
round. So we're around what, 2010?
Well, I think he wants to play with Wade or Rose
Or Carmelo.
or Carmelo.
What about
well, there's
those are his
there's one more banana boat guy
Chris
we're missing,
Paul.
Chris Paul.
Chris Paul.
does he go to the Clippers and play with
Is Chris Paul with the Clippers yet?
Or is he still down in New Orleans?
I
Charlotte?
don't remember.
I don't think he would go to New Orleans.
No,
I don't
But-
think
or was
so.
it Charlotte at that point?
Was he going
I
to
don't
go?
think he's going there.
Either way, I don't think he's going. They might have been able to do a sign and trade for Blake Griffin and get him to play with him there.
Yeah.
But I don't think LeBron would go to Charlotte or New Orleans.
I'm saying if Chris Paul was in LA at that point, he could go out to LA.
Or maybe Chris
Yeah.
Paul leaves and joins LeBron
In Cleveland.
someplace else.
Well, the reason Chris Paul wasn't part of it though was because Chris Paul's contract didn't match up with they were all free agents at the same time. That's
Right.
why they were able to do it.
Or does he go?
Well, I'm going to say this, even though I don't know how I would feel about it because I don't like LeBron. But what if he went and played with Dwight? Dwight just beat him in the finals. We know, or Dwight had just beat him and went to the finals. Dwight just came in second in the MVP voting.
yeah.
Dwight had obviously established himself. Obviously, I have no idea what their relationship was, but
Or what if LeBron went and played with Kobe? What if he wanted to go out to LA?
One of the young, up and coming. Well, he had already solidified himself as a star point guard at that point. He falls off shortly after this, but at this time, everyone thought of him as this next great Hall of Fame point guard. Would he go play with Darren Williams? Darren Williams was thought of on the Chris Paul level
he was.
for
Yeah.
a while.
But
He was a hot
LeBron's not.
commodity.
LeBron's not going to Utah.
No,
No,
definitely
well,
not going to Utah.
But Darren jumped ship around that time to go to
Brooklyn.
Brooklyn.
Brooklyn. Oh, maybe that could be.
Or
Maybe they both end up in Brooklyn.
Maybe. And then all that money they spend on the Celtics big three, they spend on a younger big three and like Darren, LeBron, and another guy.
yeah, but
They can still grab
Darren's
Bosh.
career is pretty much over at that point because he can't get over his ankle injury.
Yeah.
I mean,
So-
he has some decent seasons there, but my point is, like, at that time, he's still thought of as a superstar point guard. So LeBron would want to go there. And they tried to buy a championship with Darren and Joe Johnson and Paul Pierce and KG all on the same team, and it didn't work. But in this case, you get Darren, LeBron, and maybe a third one or a third just good player. Or, I don't know. That kind of just popped in my head as a possibility.
Well, and that's where LeBron wants a big media market.
Yeah.
Brooklyn works.
Or, yeah, I don't
What
know.
have the Knicks got during this time period? Could they have brought in?
Well, the Knicks had Melo. But we've already got Melo in Detroit.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
that's
at this
right.
point,
Because I don't think Melo leaves Detroit if he's winning championships.
No.
Right.
So he's probably not going to New York.
LeBron.
LeBron goes to New York.
LeBron would go to New York. He
Yeah.
said one time that it was between New York and
Miami.
Miami.
Yeah,
Miami,
New York
right.
and Miami.
because
Yeah.
he wanted to go play, at the Mecca.
Madison
Playing.
Square Garden, yeah.
Yeah.
So he becomes a
He
Knick.
could. He
But
could go
but
to
he
the
goes
Knicks.
to become a Knick and does what? Because
Right.
the
Well,
Knicks
bring
suck.
somebody
Well,
with him.
He
Who
would go
brings-
there to join Amari because Amari gets there a year before Melo.
Yeah, that's true.
So Amari would be there and already had that giant year there. So he would be thinking he'd be going to team with Amari, and
Right.
they would just go get a third somehow.
Have Chris Paul
Well, you
come
can
be
still
point
bring in
guard.
Bosh because Bosh timed up at that
Yeah,
time.
Bosh.
He could.
Or you have Chris Paul come a year later and be point guard of the team.
So I just figured he'd go for a guard. That usually seems to be his thing. D Wade and Kyrie, and then you have the Love and Bosh. So he already have Amari and himself, so he'd go for the
Bring in
guard.
Chris Paul a year later after
Yeah,
those
I mean,
three run New York for a
I think
while.
those are all actual good possibilities.
Oh yeah. I mean, there's a ton of
But I-
possibilities.
But none of the possibilities we named are as talented
Oh,
as
No.
D-Wade.
Right.
no.
Yeah.
No, just D Wade's like a top 20 player all time.
But
Like,
LeBron's not going to Denver.
No, I don't think LeBron's going to Denver, and I don't know that Denver would have been able to do what Miami had a great situation because Miami had no contracts on the books, so they were able to bring in 3 max contracts or close to max contracts. So what year was it the decision?
Was it 10?
It was the year after the Lakers won their Kobe's second championship with Pau. So they won in 2010. Because then they play in that. It's because in the next year, 2011, when Dirk goes on his
Yeah, they lose to Dirk in
11,
That would have
2011.
been LeBron's first.
So
year
it would have
there.
been in between 10 and 11 at some point.
Yeah.
He makes a decision, I think.
Yeah, it's
2010.
Yeah.
the decision.
Yeah, I typed it into
I'm gonna
Google.
take my talents to South Beach. 30 minutes later on ESPN, all his jerseys are on fire in Cleveland. I remember seeing them on sticks. And
Oh,
they were,
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
They were not.
How mad was Jimmy?
I don't even remember.
He was probably asleep, and then he woke
He
up.
was irritated, but he wasn't super pissed 'cause he didn't like LeBron that much then. He likes LeBron now,
Of
but he
course.
didn't like LeBron then.
LeBron broke the championship.
Yeah,
streak.
LeBron broke the championship. Okay, so that year, Denver's team was still pretty good. Like, they were a playoff team with Aaron Aflalo, Birdman is still there, Chauncey Billups, Wilson Chandler. Because they got a shitload of things for Melo.
Mhm.
So they had Wilson Chandler, they had Gallinari, they had Raymond Felton, they had Al Harrington, Nene, Costa Kufos, Ty Lawson, Kenyon Martin, Mozgov, J.R. Smith. Like,
It's all pretty quality players, really.
they have a
Yeah.
ton of really good role players.
JR, LeBron's buddy.
And this is before JR. He had a couple good years in Denver.
There were 3 or 4 of those names that all had some pretty nice spells
Yeah.
in the NBA.
But the only problem is Wilson Chandler, Raymond Felton, and Gallinari all got there through trading Melo.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, there's so many repercussions every
Yeah.
change you make.
Yeah.
It just ripple effect.
And Mozgov came in the
My
middle.
biggest winner is the Pistons get a couple more, and the Heats are still championship list.
Yeah.
So who loses championships because the Pistons win them?
Tim Duncan loses another one.
D Wade and Shaq's won't happen.
Yeah, Shaq loses another one. D Wade loses another one.
Yeah.
LeBron doesn't get an appearance. Duncan might lose another one. The Pistons might beat him again. They'd have to play him twice.
I don't know.
How good is this? How good is this Detroit team when Kobe and Gasol show up?
It'll be 2009. So how old are
They're
they?
if
That's 6 year. It's 5 years later.
I think
Are they all
I
still
want to say
together?
they're
I mean,
still decent, but they're nearing the end.
I'll say obviously Melo is still really good,
Yeah.
but the rest of them are.
Well, where were they in the playoffs that year when Dwight and all of them made it? Like, which round did they go out? Because you had
Was
the
that
Celtics.
Well, the Pistons were broke up by that point. By 2010, I mean Billups is on the Nuggets. I think Ben Wallace is a Bull.
Right.
What
yeah,
about-
they were,
what
they
about-
were broke up?
what about
was Rasheed even still playing?
2009, that first year? Or even 2008, because Kobe makes it in 2008.
Which year are we talking about again?
Well, we're talking about. I said, would they still be competitive when Kobe and Gasol
Okay,
teamed
so-
up?
so-
But I guess the other question is too is would they been able to compete with the Big Three Celtics team?
Right.
Mm.
Yeah, that would have been tough.
And it all just there's so many variables. Like,
Again, it helps having.
where does D Wade end up going? Does he end up going to turn around a great franchise? Where does
Or-
LeBron end
or
up
does
going?
or does Denver take him?
Yeah, like
I mean, maybe they take someone else. You never
Well,
know.
even then, I mean, say they still take him, he could still move on.
Yeah, by then he
Because
could have
his
left.
contract was up
Mhm.
at the same time as LeBron's.
Who are we talking about?
D Wade.
D-Wade.
D-Wade. Yeah, I mean he could have left Denver.
Yeah, he
if
could have
wanted
left
to.
Denver, and he and LeBron still could have joined up someplace else.
In reality, D Wade, LeBron, and Bosh could all end up together in 2010 still, just
Right.
somewhere else.
in New York.
But just maybe in New York
Yeah,
instead of Miami.
or maybe a Bosh, LeBron, Derrick Rose situation that we talked about earlier.
Right.
It's hard to believe they would have ended up together because I find it hard to believe that another team would have been able to clear out all that cap space.
yeah.
Because
Right.
obviously New York has Amari on to a big
Right,
contract.
Yeah, so they can't do it.
So like they would have had to have traded him, but traded him for nothing.
Yeah.
Like it turns into
Or you end up with Amari, LeBron, and D Wade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just leave Bosch
and
out.
then Amari is immediately hurt,
Right.
and then you kind of blow up your big three right there.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what champions we get changed. It's hard to keep dethroning the Spurs. I mean, they are one of the greatest NBA dynasties in the history of the NBA, and we've dethroned them in 2 straight what ifs. That's I don't know.
I just said the Raptors beat them once, but I think the Pistons taking the 6 or 7 in that one without Carmelo, and I think with Carmelo scoring,
I honestly don't remember. I
at
don't
least
know.
the early one before Ginobili and Parker really.
I think the one when they went in like 07, where they beat LeBron, but in our scenario they'd probably be facing the Pistons instead of Cleveland.
Okay, so
I think Parker tears it up and wins MVP.
Detroit
Yeah.
wins in 04 in real life. And we're pretty much saying that Detroit would still win in 04 because having this person would have made them even better,
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
And then we've kind of agreed that the Pistons would probably dethrone the Spurs in 05.
I'm kind of going through it in my head.
My vote is Pistons would win.
Because
They'd be
that is
back-to-back.
probably the weakest Spurs team.
Yeah.
We're not dethroning like
What was the series?
some of their great teams. It was a 7-game
yeah,
series.
they already took them 7 without Carmelo.
Yeah.
And then the year after that is the Wade Shaq Heat, which Wade is no longer there.
Right.
They have Chris Kaman or Kirk
Shaq's probably
Heinrich
not
or
there.
something.
Yeah,
So Shaq's probably not there. So the Heat are not
Somebody else
there.
from the East is coming.
So the Detroit probably comes out of the East.
Would they beat Dirk?
Would they beat Dirk? Probably. The Wallaces just abused Dirk, and then the rest of the team wins the game.
So now the Pistons have a 3-peat. Can we
It's possible.
Can we all
And
agree
then-
with that?
And then the year after that, the Spurs win, but this is a much better Spurs team.
yeah.
Well, Parker, I believe, wins MVP in that one. It's one of the
Yes, Tony Parker is the MVP of this one.
yeah.
So Tony Parker is now actually all-star, really good
Right.
Tony Parker. Manu Ginobili, 6th man of the year.
I-
Tim Duncan is Hall of Fame Tim Duncan still. He's not old man Tim Duncan yet.
I can give the Spurs that one.
I can believe the Spurs win that one for sure. Not for sure that they win it, I mean, but I can believe that they
Right.
could win that one.
And then
And then this Celtics Lakers series after that, with
Yeah.
the Celtics win this one. That Celtics team's really good and really deep that year. They had a
Yeah.
bunch of veterans on the bench They were really good. I still kind of lean towards the Celtics. Especially since we just talked about them winning 3 straight, and then they lose one.
People are
They've been to 4 straight finals.
Right, and they're going to be losing role players.
I'd say they play the Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals, but they lose.
Well, at a certain point, you got to give Melo a huge contract while still paying your 4 other really good starters.
It's about that
Things are gonna start
time.
to fall apart.
Yeah, we're at 2008.
Fall
How
apart.
old are the Wallaces and Billups by 2008?
Ben Wallace is probably done by then.
His production level definitely goes down. He hits a wall at some point around that area of time. I don't know if it's at
Well, doesn't one of them go to the Celtics? Doesn't one of them play for the
Sheed
Celtics?
does.
Sheet does later in his career.
Yeah,
Ben goes like the Bulls and the Cavs and stuff.
In 2000, in that year, 2007, 2008 is the year Wallace is the first year Wallace is with the Bulls.
Okay,
He averages 5 points and 8 rebounds.
Yeah.
so he's
he's
already out of there.
Yeah.
So yeah, and he's the anchor of their entire defense.
Right, yeah. It's a different team at this point. So I think Boston still wins, and then
Yeah.
the Lakers after that.
Yeah.
Well, you got to think though, that Boston team that won was also an all-time great defensive team
Yeah.
that had Paul Pierce and Ray Allen and Garnett to score the ball on top of it. So it balances out a little bit in the Celtics' favor.
So they get
And let me throw this out at you. Before all this hypothetical draft and stuff, the Pacers were building up to be a contender in the East too, with O'Neal and Artest, and they were
and
building up for
Jackson and all that?
Stephen
That's
Jackson.
true, actually.
So
The Malice and the Palace.
Yeah.
is that.
Malice and Palace happened. So outside shit destroyed the Pacers, which was building up to contend in the East.
Well, does the
we
Mouse and
know
the
what
Palace
Ray's
happen?
what
if
ifs.
Melo-
if the Mouse and the Palace happens with Carmelo, does he get suspended? And then
But the fight is between Ben Wallace and Artest, and they're both still there.
Yeah, but they've been suspended for like the whole year.
Yeah, so that year.
No, I mean the Pacers have been, but what I'm saying is the Malice would probably still happen because the 2 guys that got into
Yeah.
a fight are still
Right.
there.
but
Right.
Carmelo
as
is
that
there.
fan still shows up and throws the beer on our test, it's on still.
yeah.
I know. And what does that do?
Well, but that would destroy the Pistons' season because Ben Wallace is suspended for like 50, 60 games or whatever. I don't know that
Is
amount.
he?
It's probably not that many, but
No,
he
I
was
mean,
suspended for a while.
What
Doesn't
year
he?
was the Malice?
4.
04,
Well, 04 is the year they won the championship.
Yeah, that's the year.
That was the year.
So he can't have
Pretty
been
sure.
suspended half the season or anything because they
It
still
was
won the
either
championship.
03 or 04. It was. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure it was a contending year where the Pistons won the title.
Maybe I was wrong. I thought he got the second biggest suspension because the one that started the entire fight on the floor.
The Malice of the Palace was November 19th, 2004.
So it's been the 04-05 season.
It's the 04. It's the year after they win the
After.
championship.
Okay.
So it's the year they played that Spurs.
So they've made the finals still, though. They went
Right.
to the finals that year and lost to the Spurs.
How long was his suspension? Did they really give him a slap on the wrist for starting the entire Malice in the Palace? That's
looking.
crazy if they didn't give him a big suspension.
Ben Wallace was suspended 6 games,
6?
Yeah.
but
Oh.
but he didn't go up in the stands and beat anybody up. He just shoved Ron Artest.
But he started the whole thing. If he doesn't act like a bitch, no one goes in the stands. No one. Artest is never on the scores table to get a beer thrown in his face.
Well,
Ben Wallace started the entire.
But throwing a punch is only 2 games. So
6
so he
games.
really.
That
I
is
mean, they
mesmerizing.
tripled his thing, but like I don't really see a problem with it. To be honest with you, he didn't do anything but shove somebody. And in normal basketball games, shoving somebody gets you 0 games. Doesn't even get you a
Yeah.
fine.
That's true. That's
And
very
it's
true.
always, and normally whenever the person starts it, they don't
Yeah,
get
you
as
don't
much.
want to punish Ben Wallace because an ignorant fan threw a beer.
Or because Ron Artest can't handle his
That too.
business.
Ron
That
Artest.
too. But I mean,
I honestly, I don't know. I don't agree with that at all. If you start the biggest catastrophe in NBA history, you deserve a suspension. It started with you. You started the entire thing by acting like a child.
Yeah.
You can't. Yes,
yeah,
no one can
he
control Ron
deserves
Artest.
a
He's
suspension. but
he started it with Artest. He had nothing to do with the stands, though.
No.
But I'm not. I haven't brought up the stands a single time. I keep saying.
But that's what
he started
the
whole
rest of their
thing.
that's what the rest of them were suspended for so long for was the stands. Though.
Well, yeah, they're
They-
fighting people in the
Yeah.
stands. I get that, but the person that instigated the entire thing deserves a big suspension, in my opinion. I
But
don't
I
think you
I
just
can't
ignore
get
it.
there because I can't say that he started the Malice in the Palace. He started very small scuffle with Ron Artest.
If he doesn't do it, then nothing happens. That whole situation
Maybe,
never plays
or
out.
maybe this fan still throws a beer on Artest at a different time.
Well, we can say that about anything.
Yeah.
We can
Right,
do
I know, but that's what we're doing. We're saying, well, if he wouldn't have pushed him, maybe the guy wouldn't have thrown a beer or whatever the case may be. That's what I'm saying. Like, he pushed him out in the middle of the floor. That happens 5 times a game and half the games in the NBA.
I don't think that's right, to be honest. I don't think that's true.
What do you mean?
He started a fight with another player, and that's what led to the entire thing of events.
But the thing was,
You don't start a fight and nothing happens. That's the only point I'm making.
no, I get that,
That's
but
all
I'm
I'm
saying, but that part was over by the time Artest went in the stands. Like Wallace and Artest were clear across the court from each other.
We're having a dumb argument. I don't even really want to talk about it, to be honest. It's just
We were talking about whether the Malice in the Palace would still happen.
That depends on the fan.
Yeah.
More than
But
anything.
the players were still
The
there.
fight is like basically over. It's when the guy throws the beer that Ron Artest loses his crap.
well,
Yeah. That's when they're separated. The game's over at that point. I mean, I don't remember which.
Well, there's only a couple seconds left in the game when it
Yeah.
happens anyway.
Yeah. I was
Yeah.
say it's if
Yeah.
the Malice in the Past comes down to the guy throwing the beer, not pushing each other.
Yeah.
Because they were at that point, they were done. They were over it.
I'm looking up the total suspensions for the Malice in the Palace because they suspend like 15 people. It's not just like a 5. It's like so many dudes.
Well, anybody that went in the stands probably got
Well,
suspended.
I know Steven Jackson was in the stands.
Yeah.
I know like Steven Jackson and Ron Artest and Jermaine O'Neal and even Reggie got a game.
Yeah. And he wasn't
Reggie
even,
did.
Reggie wasn't even playing. He was
what-
street clothes.
Yeah,
that's what I
Reggie
thought,
was in
right?
street clothes. Yeah.
Be-
9 players were suspended a total of 146 games.
Yeah.
Wow.
5 players were charged with assault.
Yeah.
Didn't Jermaine O'Neal like knock someone the fuck out?
Yes, he did. It was
Yeah.
one of the most vicious punches I've
Yeah.
ever seen in my
Yeah, he
life.
blasted somebody.
Just laid that dude out. But I think that dude ended up in the hospital
Well,
Now,
pretty
was his punch in the stands or on the floor, though?
on the floor.
Now, see, I don't have a problem with the player
Yeah,
punching
me
a
too.
fan on the
The
floor.
fan,
Yeah, I
I think, came
agree.
after him.
Say if a fan
Yeah.
comes
Jermaine
on the
O'Neal.
floor, all bets are off. He gets what he gets.
But if Ron
Yeah.
Artest goes running up
in
their
the
ass,
stands, that's something different. But on the floor, don't come out on the floor.
Doesn't the fan come
Right.
after Jermaine?
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Jermaine,
he
like,
does.
dropped down on
He's
the knee
he's
or
like
something.
sprinting at Jermaine O'Neal, and like I'm pretty sure he cocks back before Jermaine hits him. But one of the players actually gets hit by a fan on the floor.
Yeah.
I can't remember who it is, but somebody actually gets hit
Wasn't
by a
there
fan.
somebody that grabbed a chair?
Those
Oh, God.
they were ripping seats out and throwing them.
Yeah.
how did they
Oh,
get
I
him
know,
out
it
so
was crazy.
quick?
I don't know.
It was a
It's nuts.
deteriorating
I
stadium.
need to go rewatch the documentary on Netflix.
That documentary is so
There's
good.
always chairs around the floor for the benches,
Yeah.
Yeah, those two.
courtside seats and stuff. You can always grab those.
Yeah.
I'm looking up Jermaine O'Neal's punch.
And we are close to an hour and 40.
Jesus Christ.
Wow. Okay, so here's the suspensions. Ron Artest gets 86 games.
That's over half the suspension games right there.
Steven Jackson gets 30. Jermaine O'Neal gets 15. Ben Wallace gets 6. Anthony Johnson gets 5. Reggie, Chauncey, Derek Coleman, Eldon Campbell, and David Harris all get 1.
What the fuck did Reggie get suspended a game for?
I don't remember. I don't remember what Reggie did.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
I don't.
Jermaine O'Neal just cleans his clock.
He does.
The guy, he just comes in.
Boom.
But I agree with Uncle Doug. Like, if when they started coming out on the floor, all bets are off.
Yeah.
The players can do whatever they got to do to protect, to
That's
keep
right.
themselves safe on the floor. And don't get me wrong, I don't agree with Ron Artest going in the stands and punching
Nope.
people either. No, don't get me wrong. If he would have got the right guy, I wouldn't have had a problem with
Right.
it. But he started punching
He
the
punched
wrong
the wrong
guy.
guy.
Yeah, I felt sorry. You feel sorry for that guy. Like he gets his ass whooped for no reason.
Yeah.
Um,
And then Steven Jackson followed Ron Artest up there. and started waylaying.
Oh, say Steven Jackson put the tattoos on some guys' waves up there too.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not gonna lie, getting punched by professional athletes probably not too much fun.
No.
Well, the funny part is a lot of professional athletes can't fight, but those fans came across like 2 of the 7 that can. Like how much bad luck can you get?
That's right. You picked the
NBA
wrong
fighters are
guys.
usually giant
Yeah.
pussies who don't know how to throw a punch at each other. They came across Ron Artest and Steven Jackson and Jermaine O'Neal.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the only thing worse would be if you replaced Jermaine O'Neal with Zebo
Yeah.
Barnes.
or Matt Barnes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Matt Barnes
yeah.
will fight too.
That, like starting to fight with Ron Artest then would have been like trying to fight the Davis brothers or Charles Oakley in the 80s or 90s. Like
That
good
is-
fucking luck.
Yeah.
Like Ron Artest
Or
was
just
the
like-
craziest bastard in the NBA, and you just got beat up by him because the guy next to you threw a beer at him.
Yeah, should have turned and punched the guy next to you.
Yeah.
He threw it. He threw it.
Yeah.
But then the guy that threw the beer ended up suing one of them.
that threw the beer.
I'm pretty sure. I know the guy that got beat up sued Ron
Yeah,
Artest.
well,
I know
that's
that
horrible.
happened. But I think the guy that threw the beer ended up countersuing somebody, whether it was the NBA or whether it was one of the players or something. He countersued somebody.
If I was Pacers, I'd sue the guy that threw the beer for ruining my season.
Yeah, no kidding.
Oh,
Or if
he
you're-
bragged about it on the fucking documentary. I about wanted to hit my screen
He was
for that.
he come across like a piece of shit on the
Yeah.
documentary.
It's fucking trash.
Who bragged about it?
The dude that threw the beer, he's like, "Ha, I didn't get hit." I'm like, "Whatever, you smoked, bitch."
Well, I guess
You know, twist. Here comes Ron Artest, who just punched him in the documentary while he's getting interviewed.
Yeah.
Where they had to sit next to each other.
Yeah.
Could you? Do you think Ron Artest could hold himself together to do
Yeah.
the documentary? If they had told him to sit next to each other, like Alex, they are.
Well, yeah, because at this point he's
don't
meta
know.
world peace.
Yeah, that's right.
not a world peace.
I don't know. Well, I feel like we could probably continue to talk about this scenario. I mean,
There's endless
like half the
possibilities.
night because
Sure.
there's so. That's one of the reasons I did bring it up because there's so many things to talk about and so many
Oh, yeah.
possibilities. But I feel like we should wrap it up because this episode's getting very long.
Yeah.
So we appreciate you tuning in for this. I about to say a Detroit Pistons episode, but a Portland Trailblazers episode. We would appreciate you tuning in next week for our Sacramento Kings episode. Is that correct?
Ooh, that's gonna be a good one.
Ooh, Sacramento.
I never remember who were doing.
Sac
That
10.
sounds right. Yep,
Yep,
Sacramento.
Sacramento Kings episode. Sorry, I got a little sidetracked there. And thanks for tuning in to Sports the NEMO Way.